Wooden Work podcast. Oh, I've tried this one. I've been practicing. So, my name is Jerry.
Well done. That's not
Thank you.
bad.
And today on the Wooden Work podcast, we have a guest called Dafydd. You might notice, everyone, that we have Halfwin here, which is over there. She will be acting as an interpreter for us today. So, Dafydd, please, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Dafydd. I started woodwork a few years back. I've just progressed really. I was on the Channel 4 British Best Woodworking on Series 2. So I was a contestant there. I got halfway through, which did surprise me. Since then, I've just been enjoying doing some woodwork. I've been a little bit overwhelmed with a few commissions that I've had. So yes, I've done quite well so far. Still learning.
Cool. So one of the questions that I have got, Dafydd, I have been thinking about the questions that I would ask you today. I wanted to make them slightly more personal, in which I could find out more about you and also relate it to the wood. Let's start off with the simple kind of start, as in where you began your woodworking interest, as an example.
So woodworking itself, I think, it's been a primary hobby really for roughly 6 years. However, I've always been interested in creating things, just pulling things apart. I think the first thing I made was, I was roughly 14 years old when I had some chickens. So we had to build a coop, like a chicken run. So I've always, I've always been good at working things out in a creative way. And again, I dabbled in some DIY, doing the flat packs from IKEA. Love those things, always have that good sense of achievement when I've built them. There's usually no leftover screws when it comes to flat packs. And I think since then, I've just progressed really, wanting to maybe create some gifts for friends and family. Fed up of actually going to shops and seeing something that's quite standardized, and it'd be nice to just make something a little bit more personal and bespoke for my family and friends. Again, I don't see things as mistakes, or if they're not perfect, I actually find them a little bit more interesting, and people actually appreciate them a lot more. And again, there's more value in that rather than just buying something from the shop off the shelf. And I just continued since then and have grown.
Nice. I know this. I don't obviously want this whole podcast to be how we are defining our interaction today, but for the most people who are viewing this podcast, podcast, as the name suggests, typically goes out in an audible form. So, people, if you are watching this, I would highly encourage you all to please just go and look at this on YouTube. And you might, of course, recognize that there is Halfwin here as an interpreter and Dafydd here. And I'm just going to clear the elephant in the room, because Dafydd is communicating with me as he is using British Sign Language, which is the first, I would say. It also challenging for me as someone who's trying to host it, but we're going to get through it. Dafydd, I wanted to talk more about your time on Britain's Best Woodworker. I know the community there; they're so lovely. They're really encouraging and supporting. You still keep in contact and have you managed to find yourself a few more commissions due to the television program?
So yes. So answering your first question, yes, the program and the contestants, we are still very much in contact. Best people I know, and their attitude's been amazing. So yes, I have received some commissions since the show. People have been asking me to make a few things. So I think a lot of people were actually shocked that I could do woodwork, because I think most people know me as more of a geek, like the motorbikes, the computers. So they didn't actually know me for the woodworking side of me. So when they realized what I had made and was able to make, and I think the majority of things I used to do before the program was just small things, and maybe things I would just make for myself. And if there were little mistakes on there, it was my mistakes and it didn't bother me. So again, when it became a big jump when I was asked to do commissions for other people. It's a little bit different responsibility. So, you know, I did have an old piano stool to restore. This person had it since they were a child, but they couldn't add any sort of membrane because, you know, things had been replaced so many times. The whole stool was covered in holes. So they asked if I could actually repair it in any way at all. So it's nothing of monetary value. You know, I suppose it would probably only cost about £10 if you were to buy it in a shop. However, it had so much value when it comes to memories and, you know, that sentimental value. So I removed the old wood, added some new wood. You know, I gave it a good clean. You know, again, I suppose I did improve it slightly as well. But, you know, but you could clearly see it wasn't just like a DIY job. You know, I had actually made sort of structural improvements to it, strengthened it, so it was a little bit more durable. And that person was so overwhelmed that, you know, they didn't want fabric at all, because it looked so good. They were so happy with it, which, you know, they have a removable cushion now, so they can just put it on and off when they want. You know, I've done some shelves, 8 foot by 8 foot shelves as well. I was commissioned to do. I think currently, I did buy a new laser graphics just recently.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah, because I made a garden boat. So my friend wanted the name, you know, laser engraved onto the boat. So because they always said that the boat was awesome. So that's where that name became part of the boat. So it's just little, and obviously loads of little things. There have been some challenges, and I think the biggest benefit for me is actually seeing the smiles on people's faces when they receive in something that I've made.
Nice. Dafydd, how did you find your time on Channel 4's Britain's Best Woodworker?
So obviously, you know, I'm unable to say much, obviously, because I don't want to break any sort of NDAs. I think going back, there was, you know, I had posted 1 or 2 things on Instagram. You know, they did contact me out of the blue. I did think initially, I thought it was like a spam or scam, you know, email. So, you know, I started researching them, and then, you know, I replied saying, "Oh no, thank you. You know, no, you know, I'm not that good. I'm not that good of a woodworker. You know, I may dabble in a few things, but that's it." But then they started encouraging me to just write the application anyway, regardless. So I thought, you know what? I'm not the type of person, you know, who wants the attention, who needs to be on TV. But I thought, you know what? I will fill out, just for a laugh, I'll fill out this application form. And you know, and as I said, when I was telling people, they were all laughing, and we had a good laugh about it. And somehow I actually got through to the next round. Then the next round, for me, I did find it a struggle, because I do believe I'm not that good of a woodworker. And I suppose that comes with a imposter syndrome element. I mean, you know, am I good enough? I must be, but then am I? So again, the production company was great. You know, I think I was trying to find things initially to stop me going on to the program. So I was, you know, saying, you have to pay for interpreters, you're aware of that. And every time I brought something up thinking that they were going to respond no, or it'll create an issue, they'd be like, no, that's fine, we'll pay for that. And you know, there was a lot of lessons learned. So yeah, but again, it was nice because I was able to show people that deaf people are able to do these things. Again, you know, having that, you know, being a positive role model to some people as well, and the deaf community itself. Unfortunately, I did cut my fingers a lot.
Wow. I'm glad you were mentioning it more than I am, because I have so many questions in relation to, of course, our inability to vocalize towards each other. So one of them that I've got is, I'm only assuming because I have the ability to hear, but are there hindrances when you are using machinery? As I can only, you know, I use my hearing to be able to listen to the pitch and the noises and the certain variations and changes. Are there any hindrances for you, or do you find that maybe some other sensors are amplified?
I think I follow the vibrations more. So I suppose the senses, my other senses are heightened. But I suppose before the episode, obviously I was trying to do finger joints, and I was using the router. But as I was using the router, I was using it quite aggressively. And it felt okay for me. But then the technicians and everybody ran over and were like, are you okay? You okay? And I was like, yeah, everything's fine. Why? What's the problem? So I had my other interpreter there at the time, and she said, oh, it was really echoing. It was extremely loud. So, but generally for most woodworking tools, it's the vibrations, the subtle vibrations. So I suppose if you're forcing something, you know, you tend to know it's not working properly. So no, I wouldn't say it was a barrier. You just get on with it. You find the alternative routes of, you know, finding out the ways. But yeah, it's just practice.
The interesting thing is, I have only watched a small amount of the program, and not well, because I typically had it on as a bit of background things whilst I was doing stuff. I think a lot of people won't gauge from this isn't the first time that I've met Dafydd. I did something completely sorry, Dafydd, I have to tell this story. Dafydd came to visit me here at Grantland, and I made a very stupid error. We went over to the sawmill, and I gave him a set of ear defenders. And Dafydd's response is he looked at me and just smiled at my stupidity. So, Dafydd, when you came to visit us, was have you experienced maybe an environment like that before, as in something away from a workshop space?
Well, my background, I was trained as an engineer. So I've worked in places like Rolls-Royce, short term, big in, I suppose the big mechanics and things and machineries. That's fine. I'm used to that. But the sawmill was a new experience for me. It was very different. The industrial manufacturing area, I was just drawn in completely, wanted to know how everything worked, how the machines operated, how, with the oil, but how you added everything to it, how it just seemed so smoothly run, and it just, and how sawdust, I think it's completely, different to like the metalwork, which when I worked in Rolls-Royce, it was very clean, safe, pristine. So you didn't have that sawdust everywhere. So it was, so the sawmill, obviously it's outside, the wind was blowing everywhere. So it was just very interesting to see. But I was interested in how the maintenance of the machines and how he looked after that, because some things could be just out of your control as well. So I'm just intrigued because you had that, obviously all the elements with the wind and so on, but I was so impressed. And again, my first, the first ride on the tractor as well, that was very nice. So thank you.
So what I'm gauging from the conversation, Dafydd, you're quite interested more in the machines and how they work and how we use them as tools. Would you be interested, just throwing it out there, would you be interested in how we do our forestry and how that also integrates in the machine side of things?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm at the point of my life now where I suppose I've reached that crossroads where I could go into that engineering area, or the farming, when you could just do either one. I know that's two different industries, but that's sort of where I am. So when you think of the machinery, when I'm thinking of the machinery, is that because I'm a qualified engineer? I'm sorry, environment, because, sorry, if I just go back. So in the environmental engineering, so that's what I'm qualified in. So that's where I have my PhD. So,
okay.
So if I'm weighing up that sort of environment for that natural environment with the farming, or if I'm looking at that environmental aspect with the machinery, after going to that sawmill, I was just like, oh, yes, that's where I am going. Absolutely.
Well, maybe when you're next up here, we can try and see whether or not you'd be quite happy to give it a go. Because, I mean...
Oh, definitely, Jerry. And again, as long as I keep all my fingers, that's fine.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's on a control panel, so it's not really it's not too involved. Dafydd, I have tried my best to compile a separate list of questions, which are, I know we're not allowed to ask you about your job, otherwise you potentially have to kill me.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm going to...
basically, I work for the government, so So I'm unable to say anything else about my job without obviously government giving me permission first. So the answer's completely no. So which part of the government, though, you know, that I will leave that to your own imagination. You know, I could be one of those secret 007 agents. Who knows?
Dafydd, what are alternative things? Because there is obviously a broad range of interests here. What are, of course, I've always found with woodworkers, one of the dark arts of it seems to be metalworking. And it's vice versa. I found metalworkers, for them, one of their interests that they'd like to dabble in is woodworking. You seem to have found this little sweet spot, but I've looked through your Instagram profile and I'm trying to find where it is there's going to be some sort of fusion project. Is there going to be something like that in the future?
Absolutely, I would love to do that. I think one of the reasons I got involved in woodworking, again, obviously with the machinery being a bit cheaper to actually purchase, you know, compared to the metal side of things. So I would like to relearn the skills of the metalwork, you know, the welding side of things, you know, develop that a little bit more now, because you know, my workshop was rewired a few months ago. So now I have all the plug sockets, everything ready for the welding machine. So I haven't bought the welding equipment yet, but I know when I'm ready, I have everything set up ready for that. And I think having that range of, you know, woodworking, metalworking, just having that range of all aspects of that creative side, it will just be amazing. I can start creating different things, and you know, and I'll be able, you know, those hidden joineries you can do. I go places and I always try working out how people have actually made something, because you can't see it. And again, on, is it Rex Traeger?
Rex.
Oh, sorry. Krieger.
Is he on Instagram?
Rex Krieger.
Oh, okay,
I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Krieger, yeah.
It may be my pronunciation. To apologize.
All right. Rex Kruger. Here we are. I've got him up. Oh, Dafydd, where'd you go?
David's disappeared.
Sorry, this is for the benefit of Paul, who's going to edit this. Paul, timestamp.
Oh, can you see me now?
Yeah.
Fine. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened.
Okay.
So his YouTube channel I really like.
Okay.
So it's an American he's an American YouTuber.
Right.
And he does forensic. He's a forensic, you know, consultant with the police. But he's more forensic when it comes to old furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So then, right, sorry, it's my interpretation. If I could just go back, he does the forensic of old furniture, so he gets the history and everything from old furniture. He looks at how the old furniture has been made, you know, and all the cheats maybe that they've done, maybe to cut corners and so on, just to create that furniture. He's really interesting, but he explores things in more detail. And he goes back decades, even probably centuries, really, and using the tools that they had and so on. He's really interesting to watch.
I'm currently on your Instagram profile because there are a couple of things I wanted to ask about. And where is it? Where is that? Oh, yeah, that's it. So, oh, is that it? Where did it go? It was a post that you recently done. Here it is. You recently put up a post which says lawyers go past because they fell trees down here, and I didn't understand what that was about. Could you elaborate on it?
I'm going to have to jog my own memory on this one.
It's probably...
I can't seem to find it.
Bugger. I can't. Oh, what I can do, the power of modern technology.
Oh, right. Still looking. Yeah, the one thing I like, because I'm deaf, I use they use automatic caption. I use automatic captions to follow YouTube, so they're automated. They are great. It's amazing how, you know, the computers now are able to recognize voices and accents and different tones, because obviously they create those subtitles, those captions. But every now and then when you're watching YouTube, you can tell that the captions are not matching what someone is saying. So that was one of them, that the caption said something completely different. And then I cannot remember the context now, but they were talking about woodworking. But again, they added lawyers in, but lawyers weren't obviously the word that they used, but that's what the captions put in. So again, it's linked to my own weird sense of humor anyway.
Okay, that explains a lot. I remember you posted it and I was just sat there thinking, what the fuck? I don't... And
yeah, I think when you watch that video, you know, it's a proper DIY video. So add the captions, and then it will start making a little bit more sense to yourself. Yeah. So if you were to do that, you will get it.
Dafydd, how big do you think the woodworking community is in terms of people that use British Sign Language?
I mean, one of my best friends is a woodworker. He doesn't really do much woodwork because he doesn't have the time. I think there's a lot of carpentry skills in the deaf community. So you have a lot of people doing like the doors and things like that, any sort of building work, carpentry work, you know, rather than the woodworking side. But there is one, there is somebody I know, Simon, he has ushers, he's deaf-blind.
Wow.
He creates some amazing pieces of woodwork. You know, he goes to Christmas fairs and things like that and sells things as well. So there are a few people around, but not a big enough community yet. So I am hoping one day to maybe have a bigger community where we can actually set up something.
Fantastic, because one of the reasons why I thought you would be a particularly interesting guest is because of our inability to communicate, and thus meaning, I'm sure there are lots of people in that same boat, and it made me interested in being able to try and find a way to communicate with those individuals in the hope and expectation that there is a wider platform. Because, I mean, in the way that we're communicating now, all done virtually, there's got to be, you know, an ability for those who, of course, use sign language and those who are visually impaired. And those, there must be, again, more individuals that need, I mean, this is my personal opinion, that need a platform, that need the space. I mean, it's different, and I totally understand, but we can draw parallels on everyone's differences as an example. So if I use mine particularly, I'll just throw it out there. People in my industry, firstly, are not my age. Second, they're usually 60 years old and they're miserable as shit. Oh, look, what happened there? Balloons came up on my screen. Yeah, so they're usually 60 years old and miserable as shit. But the beautiful thing I would say about technology and how I think it should be used is the ability for connectivity. So it is amazing having you here, and it is amazing having Hafwin here, who is able to interpret for us. And I know when we've communicated in the past, you came here, and we actually did an excellent job at communicating with each other, considering I know fuck all sign language.
Yeah, and I think one good thing regarding the programme for the Britain's Best Woodwork, it just showed that woodworking, I suppose, is not just white middle-aged men. There's nothing wrong with being a white middle-aged man, but it's a stereotype. And as you said, you know, from over the years, you know, if you know, the stereotypes are usually wrong. You know, because again, I've met so many interesting different people, you know, with various backgrounds, you know, and again, one person I'm really keen to get to know a little bit more is Leo, and he's from hand-eye craft.
Okay.
So he was in a car accident, and he lost the use of his right arm. But he's, I believe he was out on Sunday from the Britain's Best Woodworker in series 5 now. So again, just this year, obviously having a few conversations, you know, from YouTube, Instagram, you know, in the disability network as well, you know, and disabled people are supporting each other, and it's great because he's actually learned to use his left arm, and he does all his woodwork with one hand, and
wow,
he creates some amazing products. But again, also gives me so much motivation, and, you know, I suppose alleviates a lot of those frustrations that you end up having with woodwork sometimes. You know, I just think of Leo and it's like, wow, he's so inspirational.
Dafydd, we're coming to the end of the show. I would just like to ask one final question. If let's just say there's someone watching this right now who is visually impaired or audio impaired, could you just give them some words of encouragement? It's yours. Feel free to take the stage, mate.
Well, the phrase I like to use, and again, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use it due to copyright, but just do it. So I'm not sure if Nike will allow me, you know, to actually say that, but yeah, but if you would like to try something, you know, just please try it. You know, you don't need these humongous power tools and so on. You just need 3 things to start your woodworking, and that's your hammer, your saw, and just your nail. That is it. You can make so many different things from that, and again, you've made it. So regardless of how it looks, you need to be proud of yourselves for even trying. And the more you try, the more you learn. And experimenting is the best way to develop as well. So if you don't do it, you're never going to improve, and you're never going to learn those lessons. So just do it.
Well, this has been really fun. Dafydd, again, the farm is an open door policy to you, mate. If you ever are in the area, please feel free and come visit, have a cup of coffee. It would be good to see you anyway. I think I might be coming up to Wales soon, so I might come and annoy you for the day. But,
you are more than welcome. Yeah, always welcome. And I know a lot of people obviously complain about, the 20 miles an hour zone, but in Wales, but you know, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So, but you are welcome.
Thank you
even
very
if it's
much.
a slower journey.
Thank you. So thank you to everyone who is watching this podcast today. I would just like to say, please feel free to check this out on YouTube. For those individuals that are watching this and viewing it through sign language, welcome. And Dafydd, sorry. Dafydd, and
yeah, you know, it's something that's always been said, and I've always said to other people, you can call me anything you like because I cannot hear you anyway.
And Hafwin, thank you. I appreciate you interpreting this for us. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure, guys. So thank you so much for your time today. Anyway, so good people of the internet, we are signing out. See you soon.